Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Biochemistry by Dr. Tejas Shah. Today's topic is urea cycle disorder under protein metabolism. This session is in the continuation of my previous video that is on urea cycle. Let us recap the things. So we have seen that the ammonia undergo the redoxification in the liver to form urea. First two steps occurs inside the mitochondria and rest other steps are occurring in the cytoplasm, and it is linked also with the TCA cycle by the fumarate. So when there is earlier blocks in the this pathway, that is step 1 and 2 will lead to more ammonia accumulation in our body, and as you all know, the ammonia is very toxic to the animals. And the later blocks that is on the step number 3, 4 and 5 will lead to accumulation of the intermediates like increased citrulline level, arginosuccinate or arginine in the body, as well as very less rise in the ammonia level. Okay, now let us see the causes. So congenital cause, as it is said, congenital means there is enzyme deficiency of the urea cycle enzymes. Second is the acquired cause, that is advanced stage of the liver failure, where liver fails to carry out urea cycle effectively. So again there is accumulation of the ammonia. Now if we look here in this diagram, the pathway is shown along with the red block site that indicates the absence or efficiency of the enzyme catalyzing this particular reaction. Okay, so if we look at the first step, catalyzed by the carbamyl phosphate synthetase 1, if it is deficient, there is very high level of ammonia in our body, so it is very much severe condition. So if we look here, there is accumulation of ammonia, so ammonia level is increased. High ammonia is incorporated in the glutamate to form glutamine, so its level is also increased. And alanine is also channel its nitrogen into the urea cycle, so the enzyme is deficient, so its level is also increased. Okay, so this is the type 1 hyperammonemia. The enzyme deficient is carbamyl phosphate synthetase 1. Now the next step is the carbamyl phosphate combined with the ornithine to form citrulline by the enzyme ornithine transcarbamylase. So if this enzyme OTC is deficient, the condition is called type 2 hyperammonemia. This is the only X-linked disease in the urea cycle disorder. Rest other disorders are the recessive diseases. So here the most common defect here is the accumulation of the carbamyl phosphate. So ultimately it will lead to increased pyrimidine metabolite, that is orotic acid. So orotic acid urea occurs. How it occurs? So if we look here, there is blockage here. So accumulation of the carbamyl phosphate, which takes place the alternative route to form orotic acid by the enzyme carbamyl phosphate synthetase 2. So ultimately it will form more pyrimidine and orotic acid is excreted in the urine. Though orotic acid does not cause any ill effect, but its accumulation suggests that there is a defect in the enzyme of the urea cycle. If we look the next step, that is citrulline combined with the aspartic acid to form argininosuccinate by the enzyme argininosuccinate synthetase. So if this enzyme argininosuccinate synthetase is deficient, the condition is called citrulinuria, because if the blockage here, there is accumulation of the citrulline, so it is called citrulinuria, where you will find both ammonia level increase as well as citrulline level is increased. Next step is the lysis of the argininosuccinate to form arginine and fumarate by the enzyme argininosuccinate lyase or argininosuccinase. So if this enzyme is deficient, the condition is called argininosuccinic acidemia, where you will find argininosuccinate is accumulated in our body along with the high ammonia level. Next is the arginine is hydrolyzed to form ornithine and the urea by the enzyme arginase. So if arginase is deficient, again arginine is accumulated along with the ammonia. So these are the important urea cycle disorders: type 1 hyperammonemia, type 2 then citrullinuria, argininosuccinic acidemia, and arginase deficiency. One important aspect here, ornithine is transported into the mitochondria to combine with the carbamyl phosphate. So if there is defect in the ornithine transporter genetically, then it will lead to hyperornithinemia as well as hyperammonemia and homocitrulinuria. So this condition is also called triple H syndrome. So the symptoms are mainly due to the toxic effect of the ammonia. So if you have seen my previous video on ammonia formation and its toxicity, ammonia is very much toxic to the brain. So the symptoms mainly of the central nervous systems. So where in the newborn you will find there are feeding difficulties, vomiting, irritability, lethargy, that is because of decreased energy level, and the mental retardation. If secondarily involved, then you will also find signs of the liver failure in the form of jaundice, ascites, that is fluid accumulation in the peritoneal cavity, hepatomegaly, edema formation because decreased albumin level, and hemorrhagic manifestations because clotting factors synthesis also affected. So these are the very important symptoms you will find under the urea cycle disorders. Now the diagnosis part. So there is estimation of the blood ammonia level. So normal level is less than 50 microgram per deciliter, but it is highly increased in the urea cycle disorders. So blood ammonemia, the preferred sample is the arterial blood. The glutamine level is elevated. This is due to the trapping of the more ammonia into the glutamate to form glutamine. So its level estimation is also help in the diagnosis. Immediate substrate of the deficient enzymes are also elevated. So their estimation is done by the chromatography or electrophoresis method. Enzyme assay also helps in the diagnosis of the various enzymes of the pathway which are there in the urea cycle disorders. Blood gas analysis also helpful. So arterial blood is taken, and in that blood ammonia along with the other parameters of the blood gas are measured. Then electrolyte analysis also helps. Now if we look to the management part, so the treatment strategies are divided into two aspects: the primary treatment strategy and the secondary. Under the primary, the dietary manipulations is the very important aspect, and the secondary treatment strategy, there is activation of the alternative routes of the nitrogen excretion. How these two strategies helps? Let us see the first, the dietary manipulations, where the restriction in the protein diet is very much important. As you all know, protein catabolism liberates ammonia and it is entered into the urea cycle. So if urea cycle disorders occurs, so the restriction in the protein diet should be there. Moreover, replacement of the essential amino acids by their corresponding alpha keto acids in the diet. So alpha keto acids in the diet should be provided so that further in the body they are transaminated, so it will not produce that much nitrogen in our body, rather it will form essential amino acids. Second strategy is the activation of the alternative routes of the nitrogen excretion. So here if we take the first earlier block example, that is CPS1 deficiency or ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency, where there is high level of ammonia which is further accumulates as a glutamine and glycine. So the main aim is to remove both this amino acid glutamine and glycine from our body. So it is the dietary supplements to be provided in the form of benzoate and glycerol phenyl butyrate. So what benzoate will do? Benzoate in our body converted into the active form benzoyl coenzyme A, which combines with the glycine to form hippuric acid, which is further excreted into the urine. How glycerol phenyl butyrate will help here? Here you can see high ammonia trapped into the glutamine to form glutamine level is increased. Glycerol phenyl butyrate further go hydrolysis ester hydrolyzed to form phenyl butyric acid, which undergo beta oxidation to form phenyl acetate, and phenyl acetate combined with the glutamine to form phenyl acetylglutamine, which is further excreted in the urine. So this is how glycerol phenyl butyrate, if we provide in the diet, it helps to get rid of the excess ammonia level. Another alternative routes for nitrogen excretion is tried if the metabolic block resulting due to the argininosuccinase. Okay, so there is accumulation arginosuccinate. So if we provide the dietary arginine, how it will help? So if you see in this diagram, so there is block here, argininosuccinase. So if we provide arginine supplements, so arginine is converted through the step number 5, 2 and 3, where more ammonia is also combined with the ornithine to form citrulline. Again it will combine with the aspartate to form arginosuccinate, which is further excreted in the urine. So this is how, if we provide the arginine, it will form arginosuccinate. So arginosuccinate substitutes the urea to get rid of the excess ammonia. Another important use of the lactulose to get rid of excess ammonia. Lactulose is the non-absorbable disaccharide. So if we give into the diet, the lactulose will digest it to form in our body the organic acids into the gut, as the gut bacteria is also involved to the ammonia formation by the enzyme urease. So organic acids which are formed from the lactulose, which reduce the pH of the surrounding, so ultimately it will inhibit the growth of the urease positive bacteria, and at the same time it will increase the urease negative bacteria. So that is how it decrease the ammonia level. Another mechanism is also deplete the glutamine level, and thus it decrease the ammonia generation. So lactulose is also tried along with the antibiotics also, that will also helpful to get rid of the excess ammonia. So these are my references for these presentations. Thank you all. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell button to get all the notifications. Thank you all.